I started building websites kind of during the first .com boom. That go all the way back then. I was just a teenager, mostly in high school, and that's how I kind of got my start in programming. I ended up, working at Google later on after college, and I think that's where I really kind of saw the really the scale and impact that you can have by building on the internet. And that kind of pushed me to want to kind of consistently be on the frontier of technology, to kind of also become an entrepreneur myself. And so, eventually I realized Google was not the right place to be if you were really wanting to be entrepreneurial. You needed to go into startups. And so I joined a startup called Universe after that. And we really, had this big, audacious goal of trying to allow people to create with their iPhones. Prior iPhones and mobile phones were really understood as a consumption device. You would consume on it. And, it turned out to be the computer that most people had. And so we weren't satisfied with people being in a consumptive experience. We wanted them to also be in creative experiences, right? Computers are really, they're very empowering, right? So they amplify the human mind. And so how do we use the iPhone to challenge people to build stuff on the iPhone? And so Universe became a website builder. It let anyone with their um, with their phone be able to build websites. This really kind of easy to use but fun and interactive creative tool. Um, and then really what I realized when building that was, well, one, I really enjoyed building something from scratch. It was very challenging. You had to really own, a lot of problems that if you're at a bigger company, you don't even think about. How do you bring something to market? How do you grow your user base? How do you iterate? How do you hire? These were all these things that I had previously not appreciated. Um, and then I realized though that even the mobile space wasn't something that I think was experimental enough. I wanted to push myself to be even more on the frontier. And so I kind of ended up leaving. If Google was the web, and Universe I worked at on mobile, I pushed myself to go into kind of blockchains. And I think when Ethereum particularly started to gain traction and adoption and kind of awareness, the DAO hack and sort of the events in Ethereum, they pulled my attention, and this idea that there's a new programming environment, right? And it's built on this kind of shared computer that anyone can kind of plug into, and it's their shared resources. It was all these very new ideas. And I was very captivated by that. And so I ended up getting involved um, with Nadav, who started Dharma, and we ended up working on a lending product, which was, I think, a really good use case at the beginning of trying to build programs and applications on blockchains. Because if blockchains give you money and value, you can start to program financial services on top of them. And so, um, I found that as a pretty exciting first entry into the Web3 space. One of the first projects I worked on was kind of collateralizing a CryptoKitty NFT and trying to create a loan against it. This is in 2017, 2018, so it's really still very, very early. Um, and then, by the end of 2019, um, it was the last bear market. I really realized that financial applications make a lot of sense, and I was really happy to have worked on it. But it wasn't something I was passionate about, in the sense that I really wanted to go back to this idea of creating creator tools and challenging people to be creative and using technology to be creative. And so that's actually the beginning of Foundation, right? So the way we saw it is that there was a real new platform being built that would empower creators in new ways, and nobody was doing it the way that we thought we could. And I think you've called out like kind of our attention to detail and user experience, but we really felt like something beautifully designed and really carefully crafted for artists, right, to use and to kind of empower them. That's the idea, and we really started at a very high level. And then we just, over the course of 2020, built something that, and figured out how to build something that artists really wanted to use. And then I think the rest is history.
Yeah.
With 2021 being a very kind of wild year where people really realized, wow, there is this new powerful medium. Blockchains are something that, they're not just for very technical people or for financial people, that artists and collectors and creators and creative people can use this new medium to really support themselves on the internet. So, that's really my personal story and personal journey, and I hope you can see how different experiences, got me to the point where foundation made sense and I was able to
Yeah.
connect ideas that previously hadn't been connected.